Good morning. I am so glad that you are joining us here at Alamo Heights High School. I'm so happy that you guys have came aboard on our team. I think that you will really enjoy it. Here we have wonderful students and a great staff and teachers who really love and care and nurture our students. And I am just so happy that you're on board here. So I kind of wanted to go over a training with you and kind of go over some supervisory styles and um, different techniques when we supervise teachers, and kind of a training that I go over with all my new um, administrators. And so we are going to go over some supervisory styles this morning. Okay, first thing is identifying the marginally ineffective teacher. And so when you kind of look at that, you're kind of, first think, well, what exactly is a marginally ineffective teacher? And that is a teacher who is not bad enough that they immediately grab your attention or the need for time and energy to go and begin the documentation process or to warrant immediate termination. But it's kind of a teacher that if you were to ask yourself, would I want my son or daughter in their classroom? And do you really think about it? And at the end of the day, the answer is no. Um, that is what I think of when I think of a marginally ineffective teacher. An effective teacher has the ability to identify a problem, generate solutions, act on the solutions, monitor and adjust accordingly. They have a plan of action for the students and their classroom. So that's the difference when I think of an effective versus an ineffective teacher. So we're going to go over some of the possible causes of a marginally ineffective teacher. There could be a variety of reasons for this to be happening. One is lack of experience. Sometimes it's a new teacher who just doesn't really have the experience. Maybe they're struggling with classroom management or differentiation in the classroom, and managing the different needs and that learners have. Also, lack of knowledge. Sometimes you have a teacher who just is lacking the actual curriculum knowledge in the content area they're teaching and instructing. Sometimes you have a teacher who has difficulty solving problems. They may want to come to you with a problem and they want you to always offer the solution or tell them what to do, which can work, but at the same time, we want to coach and train teachers to be problem solvers and to think critically, because those are also skills that we want our students to learn, right? And so how can our students learn these skills if we are not modeling them? Another possible cause of it is just lack of awareness. Sometimes you have teachers that you may see are instructing class and they're not aware that students are not engaged, that there's side conversations happening, that the material, they're going on and on about the material, but the students are finding it relevant, but the teacher isn't aware of the problem. Sometimes you may have teachers going through personal problems, divorces or a sick child at home or financial problems, and it's really affecting the quality of the instruction happening in the classroom. Also, levels of commitment. Some teachers are okay with just status quo and are not committed to really changing the classroom and providing instruction that is beneficial and meaningful and it is really going to reach all of our students. Some teachers are burnt out. They are tired. They've been here a long time or in the education field, and they get tired with the different changes in and out every school year. Self-centered. Some teachers are focused on themselves and what's best for their their instruction, their classroom, but not necessarily for the campus and for the different learners. And some teachers just have a fear of change. They're afraid of changing their styles and trying different things. So when we are providing feedback and observations for these teachers, we're going to have conferences with them. And in our conferences, we're always going to have 3 elements. I have found over time with my experience that if you have these 3 elements, you will have productive conferences. The first one that I think is important is the diagnosis. You want to observe the classroom, observe the teacher, do your evaluation, and diagnose what is effective in the classroom, what strategies is the teacher utilizing that are effective, and what types of things did you see that were non-effective in the classroom. They're not in the best interest of the student. Perhaps they used to work at one point and they don't any longer. Students' needs change, and we have a very diverse population here at the high school, and we want to make sure that what's happening in the classroom is effective for all students and that we're reaching every learner. After you figure out what's effective or not effective, you are going to give a prescription. You're going to set the direction for improving or maintaining the teacher behavior, what you do like, what you don't like, in some ways that they can improve on their instruction or continue doing what they're doing if they're doing a really great job. And a timeline. It's very important to establish a checkpoints at which teaching behaviors will change or professional growth activities. You want to make sure if you find something that's ineffective and you're explaining to them how you want to see it change in the classroom, you want to be very clear about when you want to see these changes by, how long they have to time. Because if you don't give a clear timeline, a teacher can come back and say, I didn't know, I thought you wanted that to start next school year, or, it just leaves you open for that. 2 factors that I believe guide our supervisory style and how we are going to work with teachers. The first one is level of abstraction, and the second one is level of commitment. So your level of abstraction, here is where you have your lack of experience, knowledge, awareness, difficulty solving problems, personal problems. So a teacher with a higher level of abstraction, just think about, they may have more tools in their toolkit. They have more experience, more strategies. So if you're on a low level of abstraction, you may be a new teacher, you may have been moved to a different grade level, and so your knowledge is not quite there yet. You may have difficulty solving problems because you just don't have as many tools and experience in your bag. Level of commitment, a teacher with high level of commitment, you may think of, you have a new teacher, they just don't have the experience, but they're very committed to learning and improving and so forth. A teacher with a low level of commitment, you may see a teacher who's burnt out. They may have all of the tools and plenty of experience, but they're burnt out, they're tired, they don't they're not as committed to changing the classroom. Or maybe you have someone going with personal problems and their energy is going to solving personal problems, and their commitment to the classroom is lower than it would normally be. So I have found this chart here that I find very helpful in determining which supervisory style I'm going to use when I work with a teacher in developing them. And so if you look down here where you would have a lower level of commitment and a lower level of abstraction, you can think of maybe a new teacher who doesn't have a lot of tools in their tool belt and are not as familiar with the curriculum, but they're also not committed. They're not showing high levels of commitment to improving and to professional development and really trying to improve their craft and the instruction in the classroom. You would need to take more of a directive supervisory role. You want to inform them, direct, model. You want to assess. You want to tell them exactly what strategies you want to see improvement on and give them a timeline for it. it's very important to the students that you take this approach and that they don't miss out on quality instruction that they need. If we go over to the second quadrant, where you have possibly a teacher with a lower level of abstraction but higher level of commitment, you may think of your new teacher who does not have a lot of tools in their tool belt, but they are highly committed to improving and to learning and to their professional development and collaborating with other teachers, doing observations, and just improving and getting better. You may want to take more of a collaborative approach. You're there to guide them in the problem-solving process, be an active member in the interaction, and keep them focused on their common problems, and together you'll collaborate and allow them to create their strategies and their improvement and think of the different areas they want to get better and work with them on that. If you are looking at the up here where you have a teacher with high abstraction but a lower level of commitment, let's take a teacher who has been teaching for a very long time, but they are maybe burnt out and not showing as high level of commitment with the instruction. You would take a collaborative directive role. You want to take their ideas and their experiences and their strategies, but you're also pushing them a little bit with the directive sides of exactly what you want to see happening in the classroom and what kind of changes, and then allowing and guiding them to kind of come to a problem solving with a timeline of how you're going to see these changes reflected in the classroom. And let's say you have a teacher very high abstraction, a lot of knowledge, a lot of tools, and high level to commitment. You know that they are always working to improve their craft, to do the best for the students. You may want to take a non-directive supervision. Your role is to listen, to be non-judgmental, to provide clarification and self-awareness, and be their sounding board and answer questions. And so this is all we have for this morning. I want to thank you again, and I hope that you take some time to go over the quadrant and look a little bit more into this as we start our school year and we get our teachers in school off to a great beginning.